Ecosystems. An ecosystem is an area where living and non-living things interact. Those living things are biotic, and non-living things are abiotic. Okay. So the two components are abiotic environment, things related to the environment. What would that include?
Wind.
Wind.
Soil.
What is in the wind?
Huh?
What is it? What is in the air?
Molecules.
What kind of molecules?
Air, 2 oxygen and 1.
So there's oxygen, there's carbon, there's hydrogen, there is dust in the air too.
Yeah.
Okay, what else is abiotic?
Rock.
Rock. Okay, there's tons of rocks. They can be caused a bunch of different ways. There's soil, there's water, good.
Gravity.
And biotic communities. The word communities, what does that mean?
Association.
An association? Yeah.
Group.
Okay, it's a group. What is the group of?
Animal.
Okay.
All the living things.
Society.
Groups of animals and also, what else? What else? And humans and
Insect.
okay, insects or animals? One more thing. Yes.
Plants.
Plants. Yeah, it's easy to forget that plants are our neighbors too, but they play a very big important role.
Sure. Insect is animal.
Yes. It is an animal that is an invertebrate animal.
Invertebrate.
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 Iron.
In, like inside?
Invertebrate.
Invertebrate means no
Without no. Yeah.
No vertebrae.
Okay.
Okay, choco.
Okay. So, within those ecosystems are habitats. It's a location where an animal lives. So, in an ecosystem, as you saw on the map before, the ecosystem can be fairly large. So, specific organisms will not live in that whole entire space. They'll live in smaller areas called the habitat.
Teacher, we have to write.
Yeah.
Okay.
Teacher, you will pick on put on takeaway.
And I'll put it on YouTube as well. So think about this. Do you think this is the only place that the crane lives? No. How big is the crane's habitat?
Big.
Really large. Okay? And it probably spreads a really long distance over many ecosystems. But how about this plant beside it?
Not really.
It's not really big? How big is it? It's that big. It lives right there. It will always live right there. If it's not right there, it is in the stomach of something and it is no longer living. Okay. How about if there's like a fish in the water here? How big do you think its habitat is?
Just a lake.
Maybe just the lake? If it happens to be like a salmon, it could live in the ocean and then it could come up here as well. So its habitat could also be very large. But it could be very small. Penguins, I think some migrate from place to place, so there's this very large. Elephants, however, how big do you think an elephant's habitat? It can't fly away, but it's also not stuck in one spot. Do all elephants go from Asia to Africa?
No. There's like 2 different types.
Yeah, there's different types of elephants. So how big do you think an elephant's habitat is?
Like all those places, but only those places.
All those places?
Only Africa and Asia.
But no, do you think that one elephant lives in Asia and Africa?
Where they
Okay, so it probably lives on one plane, which is probably 100 miles by 100 miles, or what is that, 250 kilometers by 250 kilometers. It is a big space, but compared to how big the animal it is, it's really not that big of a space. And there will be multiple elephants living there. What else will be living with the elephants there?
Other organisms.
What other organisms?
Giraffe.
Giraffes,
Plants.
Lions.
plants, lions, cheetahs, zebras, birds,
Leopard.
fish, leopards, crocodiles.
Yes.
Bird.
Okay, good. So a niche. Your book specifically says that, let's say it together. Niche.
Niche.
Nice.
Niche.
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 It's an organism's job in its habitat, but it also relates to what resources the organism use. What is a resource?
Like
Nature is like what nature comes from. Yes.
What is a resource? What is it? Why? What is?
Like material.
Okay, material. What kind of material?
food.
Food. What else? Water,
Clothes.
air,
Light. Light.
coal. Okay, light. Okay, so materials that organisms use for life, for shelter, for what they eat, for warmth. Coal, we call that a resource because we use it to help us get places and to keep us warm as well.
How do you find this in YouTube?
Huh?
How do you find this in YouTube?
Oh, I'll post it on the page. I was waiting for the test to be over, but I'll post it. Okay. So it's not only what the resource is, but when the organism uses it. So, think about eating insects. Okay? What eats insects?
Birds.
Birds. What else?
Bird. Right. Humans.
Animals. Lizard.
Lizards.
Snake.
Snakes? Think about in the night.
Mouse.
Bats. Okay?
Yes.
So, all right. So think about these things. Bats versus birds. They both fly around and get insects, but they do it at different times of day.
Yeah.
So they're not competing with each other for the same food. So part of a niche is when you do the thing you do. So if you're doing it at night, then you're not competing with organisms that do it during the day. Then it's also, where are you getting these resources? Okay, so look at these roots over here. You see these roots? What's different about the roots?
Length.
The length?
Taproot or
If it's a taproot or a fibrous root. So the fibrous root would go into more places in the soil. The taproot would mostly just go for length. But why do you think that helps with the niche? Why would that help? Why does that help to have the different lengths? What do plants use roots for? To get nutrients and water? Okay, so why would it be good if they're getting nutrients and water at different lengths? Okay, it will help them survive, but how does it help them survive?
like long roots means that they need a lot of water.
Does it?
Like
So if
for
short
long-
one can eat like deeper part,
Uh-huh.
and longer one can eat like deep one, so they can
Yeah.
share enough.
So they're using different parts of the soil. You see that? They're using different areas. So they're not competing with each other. Again, so when would be day versus night. Where is different places. You can see it again on this tree with the birds. This Cape May warbler uses the top of the tree. The bay-breasted warbler uses the middle portion of the tree. And the yellow-rumped warbler uses the bottom of the tree. So they eat at different places based off instinct. They consistently always go to the top of the tree, or they always go to the middle of the tree. So they do not compete with one another.
So when you write the organisms
Niche.
niche, then you have to write down the
Yeah. Okay.
So what?
So how are niches different? What is a niche?
That's a job you don't have.
The role that
in the environment.
the role in
In
its
the habitat.
habitat, in its environment. And how can it be different?
Depending on its instinct.
What can be different though? What it uses, when it uses it, and where it uses it. Okay? Okay. Alright. So the abiotic factors, there were 5 major ones. And the first one of those is light. This was a question in your homework. What were the
Intensity and duration.
the 2 important things to worry about in light are the amount of light, which is called intensity, and the length of light each day, which is duration. So, where would be a place where you'd have the longest duration of light? Where in the world?
In the Siberia.
In
Unless
hemisphere,
Which hemisphere?
south hemisphere and north hemisphere,
North
Okay.
hemisphere.
like top
North.
one.
You'd have more light on one of those?
Yes.
Like middle one.
The middle? What is the middle called?
Oh,
Equation.
Oh,
So the equator. You'd have the most light at the equator. Okay? So, longest would be at equator. Where would you have the least amount of light? Okay? Shortest at the poles. There's a few days each year.
Where there's
No light on the north or south pole.
like is it well like Finland doesn't like sun still shine in night.
Yeah. Finland will have varying lengths. So I was in Finland once during their summer, and it was like 3 a.m. and the sun already looked like it would be about 9 a.m. or 10 a.m. So it had sun from 3 in the morning. It would have sun from 3 in the morning till like 11 o'clock at night, which was a very long day. Okay, how about intensity of light? How can you change the amount of light something gets?
By time.
No, that's duration. How do you change the amount of light something's getting?
Sure.
I'm asking a question. Is this the answer to the question? Once we're done with the question. How can you change the amount of light an organism is getting?
By
By what?
Wow.
That's a good start. The blind keeps us from getting light right now. So what outside would do the same thing?
Tree.
A tree would cover. What else would cover you?
clouds.
Clouds. Okay. What other physical objects?
Atmosphere.
Mountains would block it. Okay. So if something's growing underneath a tree, it's not going to get as much light. If it's the tree itself, it is getting the most light, right? Because it's at the top. Okay. So good. So amount of light. Is it in the shade? Is it in a place where it rains a lot? Oh, how about in the water? Where would you get the most light in water?
Oh, the upper part.
And the top part.
Upper part.
Okay, in the top part of the water. Where would you get hardly any water? Really
Under
deep
there.
water. Yeah. Okay. Okay, and temperature. This can be the temperature change throughout the year or through the day. This is often in relation to light, right? At night it gets colder because there is no light. It gets colder in winter because the duration of light each day is less. Okay? And also, there's some places where the temperature changes drastically and places where the temperature does not change drastically. Do you know that word, drastically?
Yes.
What is it?
Exaggerated.
So, exaggerated.
Brutal.
Brutal. Yeah. Korea has a drastic change in temperature from summer to winter. I live, my hometown is at the same latitude as Mogpo, where I lived before. It's in the same point across. In Chattanooga, Tennessee, the latitude is the same as Mogpo. Chattanooga, Tennessee. Anyway, so you'd think the temperature would be very similar, right?
What's the state?
Tennessee. All right. So you'd think the temperature would be very similar, but here in Korea, the temperature gets much colder in the winter.
Yeah.
And in the summer, it's not much warmer, but it's more humid. The highest humidity in from where I live is like 45%. And here it's always at 95% humidity. So, yeah. So there's also the drastic change in temperature. Make sure, is it drastic or simple? Not simple, that's a bad word. Or yeah, it's a bad word. Or relaxed, possibly relaxed. So is it
Or slow.
or slow or even tempered? Yeah. Okay. And another type of abiotic factor is water. And this can be different in land environments and water environments. How does water change in land environments?
Depending on the temperature. Like if it's so hot.
Do you think that controls the amount of that? It's not the temperature, it's the other way around. The water controls the temperature.
Oh.
Evaporate.
Okay, so, but what is evaporating?
Like
Water.
Why?
The sunlight.
The sunlight hits the
Heat
water.
the water and water evaporates.
But how can land environments get water?
By rain.
Precipitation.
So precipitation. So that's the first thing you need, precipitation, and then you get it through, and it goes away through evaporation. What areas have the most precipitation
Tropical.
on land?
Tropical.
Why?
Because they're so humid and they have so many.
Why are they humid? That means they have water, but why are they humid in the first place?
It's warm.
Okay, that's also controlled by the water. Why do they have water?
teacher.
I
Because
don't
God
know.
created.
Why do they have water?
Because there
God
is
created.
many sunlight.
Because there is many trees.
What?
No, that's because of the water. Why do they? Okay, think about where you know that there's a lot of rain. Okay, what's going on there?
Amazon.
Terror.
Amazon. Rivers.
Okay, so
Because of rivers.
okay, there's liquid water on the ground around it, but how does it get in rain? How does it get in rain
I would
form?
say that the plants get the water and it releases water in the air.
Okay.
So there are so many plants.
Uh-huh.
So I would say that.
So it's typically areas around bodies of water that have more precipitation. If there's no bodies of water around, then it will be a drier area, like a river, a lake,
So they have
an
many
ocean.
lakes
Yeah, there's a lot of water around. The other thing is what you were talking about, a lot of warm places. What happens when it gets cold?
Water freeze.
The water's frozen, so it's not available. It is no longer available to the plants and animals. How about in water environments? What can be different about the water?
Well, Korea, like 3 dimension is all like touched to ocean. It's really humid, but why it's not raining that much?
Oh, it rains a lot here compared to other
In
places.
summer.
Yeah. Well, because it gets really cold in the winter. But there's always a lot of air. So humidity means there's water in the air. So that might not be rain, but that is water in the air. Yes, Josh?
When we did
Until the last person
Wow.
does it. Until
What can be different about water environments?
salty or.
It can be salty or
How do you call it? Sweet.
starts with an F.
Oh.
What the fuck?
It's,
No, I didn't say that.
it starts with an F-R. F-R.
Fragile.
Fresh.
Who said F?
Fresh. So water environments can be fresh water or salt water.
Such a
Yes.
good word.
Nobody.
It hurt.
Who was that? Who said
말라니까.
Stand up.
Stand up.
야, 가서 세수하고 와.
Why did he scream?
Alright. So the next ones are soil and substrate. I have already put it here, but the soil and substrate, they have nutrients. What needs those nutrients? What are nutrients?
Organism.
Okay, before that, what are nutrients?
Food.
Like,
Like
Vitamin.
keratin.
Okay,
like vitamin.
vitamins. And what are vitamins?
Like
Energy.
늙은 사람들이
Food has nutrients too. Nutrients are
energy.
what you need to make energy. Yep. Okay. Let me put this. The soil is made from sand, silt, clay, and humus.
Sand. What?
Humans?
Humus. It is actually, some of that is humans,
Yeah, because of rest, like cemetery.
because humus is decaying organisms. So any plant that has died, any animal that has died, any human that has died and has been buried in the ground, it is decaying and part of the soil that you walk on top of every day.
Can nutrient is underground.
There's nutrients in the soil, yes.
Yeah, but can it move? The nutrients can move.
It can move around, yes.
Ooh.
But sometimes it's locked into soil particles right there. Okay? And the substrate below is normally made of rock or clay. Not much to say about that other than it's made of rock or clay. Then, important things. Another important factor is wind or current. Where would you have wind? What kind of ecosystem would have wind?
Everywhere.
Every
No trees.
ecosystem?
An ecosystem without trees, because trees block the wind.
There's wind
There
in
is.
there. Okay, which one would have?
Yes,
What kind of
yes.
ecosystem would have a current?
What is current?
What is current?
What is current?
Current is money.
Current is like
Current.
What is a current?
Correct.
Currency.
So you can have wind currents way up in the air, or you could have currents in the ocean.
Is
Right?
it like
Is
movement?
it like
yeah.
So
wave? Pressure?
current would be
Wave.
typically in the ocean or in the water environments, water ecosystems.
Wave?
Yeah, but deeper. Think about
Movement.
I'll have to show you a map in a bit.
Like the heat moving?
I'll show you in a little bit. It's what causes tsunamis and not earthquakes, but
전류? 기압?
oh, I'm blanking on the word.
Like the cold 전선. 희연아.
What is that? Hurricanes. It causes the hurricanes to move in the patterns that they do. Wind is typically on land environments. Okay? These also can be weak or strong. What would be good if you had, which do you think is better for most ecosystems? Weak or strong wind or
Strong.
currents? Strong? Why?
Weak.
Like storm?
If it's
Storm?
just dark, weak.
No, weak.
Yeah. Okay. So if you have strong currents or strong wind, that can cause a lot of damage to a lot of soils, so things can't grow there very, very easily. But there are environments that are that way, and things do survive. But it is better to have weak wind currents. Yes?
What does it say there? Low current?
Water.
Oh.
Okay.
Water what? Teacher, water what?
Environment.
Ecosystem or environment. Okay. Alright, going on to the next.
Oh, wait.
Oh,
One,
sorry.
2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10.
Okay, so the water cycle. This is from that third abiotic factor. And the two main points the book talk about are evaporation and precipitation. What causes evaporation?
Sun.
The sunlight. The sunlight heats up the water, and the water is pulled up and it condenses. When it condenses, what happens?
It falls.
What happens before that? It forms clouds.
Yes.
So water that has been evaporated condenses and forms clouds. And what happens to those clouds?
It rains.
Why?
Because it's
Because
so heavy.
It's heavy.
Okay, so much water condenses into the clouds that it gets heavy and falls down in a form called precipitation. Okay. Another form of evaporation is transpiration, and that's what comes off the bottom of leaves. You know, when remember that the leaves, they get water from their roots, and the water goes through their leaves and comes out and transpires. Remember?
Organism transpiration.
Yes?
Does it count?
That's exactly what that's from. See, transpiration is on the plants here. Okay? Josh?
Stand up.
Okay.
Up and down.
So, after precipitation happens, the water, like the water building up in the clouds and getting heavy, the water, wherever rain happens, gets heavy and runs downward. It will run down hills, down mountains, down slight slopes until it reaches a larger group of water, like a river or a stream or a lake or an ocean. Yes?
Evaporation is that water goes up and it makes cloud and it rains and worse
Precipitation is the rain part.
Evaporation is the water going up and precipitation is going down.
So,
Up and
evaporation,
down.
condensing, precipitation.
And then rain.
Okay. Alright, the other thing that can happen to water other than runoff is it can go through the soil. It can go down. And it will go down to a place called the water table.
Then, precipitation,
Precipitation, yeah?
it go down, runoff, and infiltration.
Yes.
Both.
So, I'm going to go on to the next slide. So, the water table is where, how does water get into the water table?
Through the soil.
What is that called?
Word soil.
What?
Infiltration.
So, Infiltration takes water that has been perspired from the air or just water in the lakes, and it brings it down to this area underneath the ground, typically called the water table. So the water table is a place underground that is stopped by thick rocks that will not let the water go down any further. And that area where the water is underground is called groundwater. Okay? When there's a divot in the land and it goes past where the groundwater level is, you get a lake.
What?
Okay, so there's groundwater. It's at a certain level underneath us almost all the time. When the ground goes down far enough, it can go past that level, and that will form a lake or a stream or other things. Okay, let me look and see what I have. Okay, and let me tell you about this really quickly. Ecological succession is how an ecosystem changes over time. This is caused by the change in the biotic communities. So you can treat this first part like maybe a volcano has erupted, right? So everything that was there before possibly was destroyed. Everything is just rocks. Okay? So over time, small things like grass and lichen start to grow. As they die, they become humus, which starts to build up soil. You see how the soil grows over time here? The soil level here, it grows over time. Okay. Make sure you know this is time. As time goes on, bigger things start growing. And as there's a little bit of soil, bigger things can start growing. So after those things die off, more things like bushes start to grow there. And as those die off, smaller trees and shrubs grow. And after that, there's enough soil room for trees with large roots to grow in that area. So this happens after volcanoes erupt and cover up the area. Things will start growing again over time. This is called ecological succession. Let me just check.
So